For many like myself, the GM Sniper 2 was first introduced to them through the 0080 War in the Pocket Gundam OVA, where it was on screen for a full 5 seconds. And that's if you include the few frames it's on screen as a pile of rubble. Beyond that, we never see it again in any series that's in the Universal Century Gundam timeline, movies or OVAs. Alternate versions of it, however, have appeared elsewhere, most notably in video games. In most recent times, versions of it could be found in SD Gundam Battle Alliance and Gundam Battle Operation 2. It was also included in the late Gundam Evolution live service game. As for older games, it could also be found in Crossfire, Side Story Missing Link, Versus, Encounters in Space, and if we include the White Dingle variant, then it could also be found in 0079 Rise from the Ashes on the Sega Dreamcast, and in Journey to Jaburo on the PS2, just to name a few. So it goes without saying that the GM Sniper 2 is an OG. But, for whatever reason, it's not in Gundam Breaker 4. Why is this? I don't know. It's not just the GM Sniper 2 that got snubbed, of course. The Delta Gundam, Brigazee, and the Tristan, among others, were also not included. Maybe in some future DLC it will be added to the game, which could be possible given the fact that even though the mobile suit itself is not in the game, its sniper rifle actually is. As for now, all this means is that if we really want to use the GM Sniper 2 in Gundam Breaker 4, then we're gonna have to build it from scratch, and some compromises are gonna have to be made along the way. For the legs, I had originally planned on going with the GM's Customs legs, but it doesn't have the calf dimples on the back or thrusters. I therefore went with the Pale Rider's legs instead, since they do check off most of the boxes for what we're looking for. In addition to visually being as close to the original design look that we're going for, these legs also come with an EX melee skill and some missile pods for an OP skill. For the body part, I went with the GM Command's body. There wasn't much else to pick from, and it's also as close as it gets as far as I can tell. Then there are the arms, which I once again went with the GM Command's parts, since it has the exact same elbows as the snipers. Now for the head. There were a few options that I could have gone with. The first was the GM Command. It is essentially as close as it gets to the GM Sniper's head. It's just missing the visor and antenna. I then looked at the Jagan, Stark Jagan, and Jesta next, which all sort of fit the bill, but their faces don't have the exact same vents like the GM Commands or Snipers. I also took a look at the GM Customs head, which also had the same issue. It really all comes down to personal preference. If someone else wants to build a GM Sniper 2 and use any of the parts I just mentioned, or some other part, they're obviously free to do so. This is a game where we're free to do whatever we want, and we don't have to listen to some dirty gatekeeper or meta. Anyway, for my build, I went with the Pale Rider's head, since it does check off most of the boxes for what we're looking for. It has the vents on its face, an antenna, and visor. Granted, the visor doesn't work or look like the snipers, and the antenna is angled differently, but this is as close as it gets, and like I said, compromises had to be made. Also, the Pale Rider's head comes with the Hades system, so that's a plus. Moving on over to the backpack, I went with the Gatplan TR5s. Don't worry, we're not going to leave it as is. We're actually going to adjust it. And that's it for the body portion of the GM Sniper 2. For the shield, I just went with a GM Command shield since it's pretty much the same. Sorry White Dingle fans, but the other shield is not in the game, and it would take up too many builder part slots to try to make it in the game. Same goes for the mounted head pod. It also doesn't make much sense to waste a builder part slot for the head pod when the Pale Rider's head already comes with head vulcans. And we need every builder part slot we can get to buff this boy up. That's right, I'm once again not allowing myself to use any mastered skills. For my main weapons, obviously it wouldn't be much of a sniper without its actual sniper rifle, so that goes on the right arm. It is a little weird though how in this game it can fire it with just one hand, instead of having to hold it with both hands. But I guess that's just a personal nitpick that I'll ignore. We're then going to give it a grenade builder part, so that it fits more in line with its Gundam Battle Operation 2 version. I chose to place a builder part on the right shoulder, so that it can also look like it's carrying extra sniper rounds. Now for the left arm, there were a number of different choices. The GM Sniper 2 has been known to be able to use a bullpup machine gun, but even though I do occasionally like using machine guns in Gundam Battle Operation 2, in this game, this gun doesn't offer much offensive capabilities as far as I can tell. If there is a build out there that makes this weapon viable, I have not discovered it yet. There's also the ground type beam rifle, which is okay as a secondary sub-weapon. I wanted to use the Gundam ground type bazooka, but that bazooka isn't in the game, as far as I can tell. And the Gundam ground type doesn't come with it when you buy it from the shop, so if it is in the game, I haven't gotten it yet. Instead, I had to make another compromise. You see, although the White Dingle version is not in the game, and nor is its beam rifle, there is one sniper rifle that sort of fits the bill. We are going to have to go outside the Universal Century timeline, however. The weapon in question is the GN Sniper Rifle 2 from Gundam 00. I say this is the closest that fits the bill to the White Dingle's beam rifle, because its beam actually looks like something that would be fired out of a beam sniper rifle. The only downside is that it has to be charged in order to fire, which sort of makes it feel even more like a sniper rifle when you think about it. Going back to the builder parts, I once again added a pair of 5-tube missile pods for some crowd control capabilities, only this time, they won't both be firing at once. I then took some inspiration out of the GM Sniper 2's SD variant from Battle Alliance, where it also has a bazooka. Only in this case, I had to add the double bazookas from the camphor. But, admittedly, as far as extra parts go, these bazookas are as close as we can get to equipping the ground type bazooka. Just like I did before with the Alex, I also equipped an armed grenade launcher on the left arm to make it look like it's being fired from the shield. After that, I took some creative liberty and equipped a large beam cannon on the back on one side, and a large Gatling gun on the other side. This is really a combination of 3 different versions of the GM Sniper 2. The first being the standard stock version. The second is the White Dingle version, and the third is really just taking some inspiration from its SD Battle Alliance weapons kit. And with that, we're ready to test this bad boy out. My attempt at making a viable GM Sniper 2 in this game was fun, for the most part. Almost like as if I was building something in real life where I had to make some concepts and even get some measurements down to make it all work. The only downside was that I think I spent too much time putting it all together and making all the builder parts fit on the suit while still keeping the overall look and silhouette of a sniper. Once again, even though none of my parts were maxed out, the suit did okay in survival. That was until I was reminded of some of the changes that were made to the game. You see, while it's true that the funnels in the game were improved for us in the last update, it's also true that the funnels for the enemies were improved as well. So, while before when an enemy AI had some funnels, we were like, oh, that's cute. Now, those same funnels can potentially stun lock you, which is what happened to me. Funnels with beams were okay, they didn't bother me at all. But funnels with ballistics and physical impact, on the other hand, were another story. And in this case, they were what ended my survival run.
Mission failed. I know you can do better.
I thought about giving it a second run, but to be honest, I couldn't really think of a way of improving the suit without resorting to mastered skills. And I had already spent too much time putting it together, leveling up the parts, deciding on what custom parts to use, and finally taking it out for a survival test run. So much time, in fact, that I think I was able to complete my first playthrough of Resident Evil 2 Remake in less time.
What the hell?
Oh. Oh crap, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in here. And so that brings us to the end of the video. One more thing before I go. Normally, I don't like talking about this, but my channel is now selling its free subscriptions for half off. So it now costs 50% less to subscribe for free. That's right, free subscriptions are now extra free. No other channel on YouTube offers this great deal. So push the subscribe button now and get this exclusive deal. See you all in the next one.